thou the heedless oath? To Venus, answered she. And as she spoke, forth from those two translucent cisterns broke a stream of liquid pearl. She starts to cry, which down her face made milk-white paths whereon the gods might trace to Jove's higher court. He thus replied. So Venus is the goddess of love, beauty, and sex. Leander replies, the rites in which love's beauteous empire's most delights are banquets, Doric music, midnight revel, plays, masks, and all that stern age counteth evil. Thee as a holy idiot doth she scorn. For thou, in vowing chastity, hast sworn to rob her name and honor, and thereby committest a sin far worse than perjury, even sacrilege against her deity. Through regular informal purity to expiate which sin, kiss and shake hands. Such sacrifice as this Venus demands. So Leander says, you are dishonoring the goddess of Venus by vowing chastity. So honor her by taking my hand. Thereat she smiled, and did deny him so, as put thereby, yet he hoped for more, which makes him quickly reinforce his speech, and her in humble manner thus beseech. Though neither gods nor men may thee deserve, yet for her sake whom you have vowed to serve, abandon fruitless cold virginity, the gentle queen of love's sole enemy. Then shall you most resemble Venus's nun, when Venus's sweet rites are performed and done. Flint-breasted Pallas, this is another one of the chaste goddesses, joys in single life, but Pallas and your mistress are at strife. Love, hero, then, and be not tyrannous, but heal the heart that thou hast wounded thus, nor stain thy youthful years with avarice. There fools delight to be accounted nice. The richest corn dies if it be not reaped. Beauty alone is lost, not warily kept. These arguments he used, and many more, wherewith she yielded, that was won before, heroes' looks yielded, but her words made war. Women are won when they begin to jar. So fighting, she knows that if fighting back, she begins to lose the battle. Thus, having swallowed Cupid's golden hook, the more she strived, the deeper was she struck. Yet, evilly feigning anger, strove she still, and would be wrought to grant against her will. So having paused a while, at last she said, who taught thee rhetoric to deceive a maid? Ay me, such words as these should I abhor, and yet I like them for the orator. I should hate the words that you're saying, but coming out of your mouth, I kind of like them. And with that, Leander stooped to have embraced her, but from his spreading arms away she cast her, and thus bespake him, gentle youth, forbear to touch the sacred garments which I wear. Upon a rock and underneath a hill, far from the town, where all is whist and still, save that a sea playing on a yellow sand sends forth a rattling murmur to the land, whose sound allures the golden Morpheus in silence of the night to visit us. My turret stands, so don't touch my sacred clothes. My home, my small tower, stands on the edge of this body of water. My turret stands, and there, God knows, I play with Venus's swans and sparrows all the day. A dwarfish bedlam bears me company, so an old woman keeps watch over me, that hops about the chamber where I lie, and spends the night that might be better spent, wink, wink, in vain discourse and apish merriment. Come thither. As she spake this, her tongue tripped, for unawares, come thither from her slipped. So it says that she says, please come visit me. But she blushes because she didn't actually mean to say, please come visit me. And suddenly her former color changed. She blushes. And here and there her eyes through anger ranged, and like a planet moving several ways at one self instant, she, poor soul, essays, loving not to love at all, and every part strove to resist the motions of her heart. And hands so pure, so innocent, nay, such as might have made heaven stoop to have a touch, did she uphold to Venus, and again vowed spotless chastity, but all in vain. So she raises her hands to Venus and vows chastity. But Cupid beat down her prayers with his wings. Her vows above the empty air he flings. All deep enraged, his sinewy bow he bent, and shot a shaft that burning from him went, wherewith she, stricken, looked so dolefully, as made love sigh to see his tyranny. And as she wept, her tears to pearl he turned, and wound them on his arm, and for her mourned. Then towards the palace of destinies, laden with languishment and grief, he flies, and to those stern nymphs humbly made request, both might enjoy each other and be blessed. So Cupid takes her tears after beating down her prayers to Venus. He takes her tears, put them in pearls, and flies them up to the palace. But with a ghastly, dreadful countenance, threatening 1,000 deaths at every glance, they answered love, nor would vouchsafe so much as one poor word, their hate to him as such. Hearken awhile, and I will tell you why. Heaven's winged herald, Jove, born Mercury, the selfsame day that he asleep had laid, enchanted Argus spied a country maid, whose careless hair, instead of pearled, adorned it, glistened with dew, as one seemed to scorn it. Her breath as fragrant as the morning rose, her mind pure and her tongue untaught to glows. Okay, I'm going to skip some of this. It's a story of one of the gods taking advantage of a maiden. There is a line that says, "Maids are not wooed by brutish force and might, but speeches full of pleasure and delight." I think that's a very interesting line. I'm going to skip down to line 485 after this long story of that inappropriate god situation. By this, sad hero with love unacquainted, viewing Leander's face, fell down and fainted. He kissed her and breathed life into her lips, wherewith, as one displeased, away she trips. But as she went, full often looked behind, and many poor excuses did she find to linger by the way. And once she stayed, and would have turned again, but was afraid, and offering parley to be counted light. So he faints, she faints, he resuscitates her, she runs away, but keeps stopping to look back. Sorry. Where did I stop? So on she goes, and in her idle flight, her painted fan of curled plumes let fall, thinking to train Leander therewithal. So she drops her fan, flirtatiously hoping he will pick it up. He, being a novice, knew not what she meant, but stayed, and after her a letter sent. He didn't know why she dropped the fan. So he sends a letter after her, which joyful hero answered in such a sort as he had hoped to scale the beauteous fort, wherein the liberal graces locked their wealth, and therefore to her tower he got by stealth. Wide open stood the door, he need not climb, and she herself before the appointed time had spread the board with roses, strewed the room, and oft looked out and mused he did not come. At last he came. Oh, who can tell the greeting these greedy lovers had at their first meeting? He asked, she gave, and nothing was denied. Both to each other quickly were affied, or betrothed. Look how their hands, so were their hearts united, and what he did she willingly requited. So they meet up at her place and are betrothed. Sweet are the kisses, the embracements sweet, when like desires and affections meet, for from the earth to heaven is Cupid raised, where fancy is in equal balance praised. Yet she this rashness suddenly repented, and turned aside, and to herself lamented, as if her name and honor had been wronged by being possessed of him whom she longed. Ay, and she wished, albeit not from her heart, but that he would leave her turret and depart. The mirthful god of amorous pleasure smiled to see how he had this captive nymph beguiled, for hitherto he did but fan the fire, and kept it down that it might burn the higher. Now waxed she jealous, lest his love abated, fearing her own thoughts made her to be hated. Therefore unto him hastily she goes, and like slight Salmachus her body throws upon his bosom, where with yielding eyes she offers up herself as sacrifice. So she immediately regrets that they have made love. She feels as though she's done something wrong, but then she fears that, basically, fearing that she was hated, she imagined that she was hated. And so there's a whole lot here going on that you could really delve into. To slake his anger, if he were displeased, oh, what god would not therewith be appeased? Like Aesop's cock, this jewel he enjoyed, and as a brother with his sister toyed, supposing nothing else was to be done. Now he her favor and good, now he or her favor and goodwill had won. Okay, I take that back. They did not make love. They are both innocent and naive and don't know what they're doing and are very confused by the feelings in their bodies. And so they are in love, they are impassioned and inflamed, but They don't know what to do. But know you not that creatures wanting sense by natures have a mutual appetence, and wanting organs to advance a step, moved by love's force, unto each other leap. Much more in subject having intellect, some hidden influence breeds like effect. Albeit Leander, rude in love and raw, long dallying with Hero, nothing saw that might delight him more, yet he suspected some amorous rites or other were neglected. Therefore unto his body hers he clung. She, fearing on the rushes to be flung, strived with redoubled strength. The more she strived, the more a gentle pleasing heat revived, which taught him all the elders lovers know. And now the same gan so to scorch and glow, as in plain terms, yet cunningly, he craved it. Love always makes those eloquent that have it. She, with a kind of granting, put him by it, and ever as he thought himself most nigh it, like to the tree of Tantalus she fled, and seeming lavish saved her maidenhead. So he is kind of inflamed. He doesn't know what to do, and she resists his urges. Ne'er king more sought to keep his diadem than Hero, this inestimable gem. Above our life we love as a steadfast friend, yet when a token of great wealth we send, we often kiss it, often look thereon, and stay the messenger that would be gone. No marvel then, though Hero would not yield, so soon to part from that she dearly held. Jewels being lost are found again. This never 'tis lost but once, and once lost, lost forever. So she didn't want to give up this one precious thing that she had um, in her maidenhood because you can't get it back. Now had the morn espied her lover's steeds, whereat she starts, puts on her purple weeds, and red for anger that he stayed so long, all headlong throws herself the clouds among. And now Leander, fearing to be missed, embraced her suddenly, took leave, and kissed. Long was he taking leave, and loath to go, and kissed again, as lovers used to do. Sad Hero wrung him by the hand and wept, saying, "Let your vows and promises be kept." Then standing at the door, she turned about, as loath to see Leander going out. So Leander is leaving the next morning. Leander doesn't want to leave. Hero doesn't want him to leave. And now the sun that through the horizon peeps, as pitying these lovers downward creeps, so that in silence of the cloudy night, though it was morning, did he take his flight. But what the secret trusty night concealed, Leander's amorous habit soon revealed. When with Cupid's myrtle was his bonnet crowned, about his arms the purple ribbon wound, wherewith she wreathed her largely spreading hair. Nor could the youth abstain, but he must wear the sacred ring wherewith she was endowed, when first religious chastity she vowed, which made his love those cestus to be known, and thence to Abydos sooner blown than he could sail, for incorporeal fame, whose weight consists of nothing but her name, is swifter than the wind, whose tardy plumes are reeking water and dull earthly fumes. Home he came. He seemed not to be there. So he goes home, but he's very distracted. But like exiled air thrust from his sphere, set in the foreign place, and straight from thence, outsides like, by mighty violence, he would have chased away the swelling main that him from the unjustly did detain. Like as the sun in a diameter fires and in flames objects removed far, and heaveth kindly, shining laterally, so beauty sweetly quickens when 'tis nigh. But being separated and removed, burns where it is cherished, murders where it is loved. Therefore, even as an index to a book, so to his mind was young Leander's look. Oh, none but gods have power their love to hide. Affection by the countenance is descried. The light of hidden fires itself discovers, and love that is concealed betrays poor lovers. His secret flame apparently was seen. Leander's father knew where he had been, and for the same mildly rebuked his son, thinking to quench the fire new begun. So when he gets home, his dad can tell there's something wrong. He's distracted and can tell that he's been in love and been with somebody. But love resisted once grows passionate, and nothing more than counsel lovers hate. Great line. Love resisted once grows passionate, and nothing more than counsel lovers hate. For as a hot, proud horse lightly disdains to have his head controlled, but breaks the reins, spits forth the ringled bit, and with his hoofs checks the submissive ground, so he that loves, the more he is restrained, the worse he fares. What is it now but mad Leander dares? O hero, hero! Thus he decried full oft. And then he got him to the rock aloft, where, having spied her tower, long stared he on it, and prayed the narrow toiling Hellespont to part in twain that he might come and go, but still the rising billows answered no. So he stands on the cliff over the Hellespont body of water that separates him from Hero's tower, and begs the waters to part so that he can walk over to her. With that, he stripped him to the ivory skin, and crying, "Love, I come!" leapt lively in. So he strips down naked and dives into the water to swim across. Whereat the sapphire visaged god grew proud. So Neptune sees Leander jump into the water, and made his capering Triton sound aloud, imagining that Ganymede, displeased, had left the heavens, therefore on him he seized. So Neptune and Zeus are brothers, and they have been fighting over Ganymede, which was Zeus's cupbearer, and Neptune thinks that Leander is Ganymede. Leander strived, the waves about him wound, and pulled him to the bottom, where the ground was strewed with pearl, and in low coral groves sweet singing mermaids sported with their loves on heaps of heavy gold, and took great pleasure to spurn the careless sport, the shipwrecked treasure. For here the stately azure palace stood, where kingly Neptune and his train abode. The lusty god embraced him, called him love, and swore he never should return to Jove. My apologies. I keep saying Zeus, but I should be saying Jove because this is not the Greek mythology. And when he knew it was not Ganymede, for under water he was almost dead, he heaved him up, and looking on his face, beat down the gold waves with his triple mace, which mounted up, intending to have kissed him, but fell in drops like tears because they missed him. Leander, being up, began to swim, and looking back, saw Neptune follow him, whereat aghast the poor soul began to cry, "Oh, let me visit a hero ere I die!" The god put hell's bracelet on his arm, and swore the sea should never do him harm. He clapped his plump cheeks with his tresses played, and smiling wantonly, his love bewrayed. He watched his arms, and as they opened wide at every stroke, betwixt them would he slide and steal a kiss, and then run out and dance. And as he turned, cast many a lustful glance, and threw him gaudy toys to pleasure his eye, and dive into the water, and there pry upon his breast, his thighs, and every limb, and up again, and close beside him, swim, and talk of love. Leander made reply, "You are deceived. I am no woman, I." Remember earlier it was stated that Leander was so pretty that people thought he was a woman. Thereat smiled Neptune, and then told a tale, how that a shepherd sitting in a vale played with the boy so fair and kind. As for his love, both earth and heaven pined, that on the cooling river durst not drink, lest water nymphs should pull him from his brink. And when he sported in the fragrant lawns, goat-footed satyrs and upstaring fawns would steal him thence. Ere half this tale was done, "Ay me," Leander cried, "the enamoured sun that now should shine on Thetis' glassy bower descends upon the radiant hero's tower. Oh, that these tardy arms of mine were wings!" And as he spake, upon the waves he springs. Neptune was angry that he gave no ear, and in his heart revenging malice bore. He flung at him his mace, but as it went, he called it in, for lovers made him repent. For love made him repent. The mace returning back, his own hand hit, as meaning to be venged for darting it. When this flesh-bleeding wound Leander viewed, his color went and came, as if he rued the grief which Neptune felt. In gentle breast, relenting thoughts, remorse, and pity rests. And who have hard hearts and obdurate minds, but vicious, harebrained, and illiterate minds. The god, seeing him with pity to be moved, thereon concluded that he was beloved. Love is too full of faith, too credulous, with folly and false hope deluding us. Wherefore Leander's fancy to surprise, to the rich ocean for gift he flies. 'Tis wisdom to give much, a gift prevails, when deep persuading oratory fails. By this Leander, being near the land, cast down his weary feet, and felt the sand. Breathless albeit he were, he rested not, till to the solitary tower he got. And I'm going to stop there, and we'll come back for part 3.